$872,786 grew to $1,387,419 in 365 days using indexed universal life. In this episode, I'm going to give you a preponderance of evidence of IUL actual returns realized by policyholders as high as 61% just last month from the recording of this video. Get ready, I'm going to blow you away. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've been in the financial services industry now for 47 plus years. And I originally got my insurance license and Series 1 securities license back in 1974. And I've helped people optimize their financial assets, prepare for retirement, and also manage their real estate, the working capital for their business, save for retirement, college funding for kids. One of my favorite instruments to do that is a maximum funded universal life insurance policy. And in 1997, when indexed universal life came out, I immediately jumped on that because I was able to tweak my rates of return by at least 2.5 percentage points. Now, in many of my episodes on this very channel, I talk about how I have earned average returns of 8.2%, 9.62%, 10.07%, 11.17%. And frankly, I'm being conservative. I have naysayers. I have critics who go, I've been in the financial services industry for 40 years. I've never seen a universal life policy do that. And I go, really? So you don't think it exists because you've never seen one? That's like saying, how do you know your brain exists? Have you ever seen it? That's silly. So I'm about to give you tons of examples of actual clients, actual rates of returns on indexed universal life. And of course, I can't show you their names because that would violate regulations. I have to protect their privacy, but I'll show you their actual statements without their names on it, and you'll see the rates of return. And I'm just plucking up all kinds of policies, but these aren't the best ones. These are typical. Are you ready? I'm going to go through this fast. So, oftentimes we'll have insurance companies who will issue annual statements on one sheet of paper like this. I'm not going to say who the carriers are. This is one that we have thousands of clients' money in. And so this lists all of the indices that they can choose from to link their cash value to indexing. And you can watch episodes on this very channel about how indexing works. So in this particular case, this client allocated 25% of their cash value to what is called the Barclays U.S. Dynamic Balance Index 0.3. That happened to be $63,000. We come down and they did another 25% to the S&P 500, okay? Another 25% to the triggered method under the S&P 500. And then they had the last 25% to the blended index performance, okay? Annual point to point. So $63,884 even spread out in 4 different indices. This is called diversification. What was the return? This was for August 27th of 19 to August 26th of 2020. Look at the return on this one. This was 13.39%, 10%, okay? This one down here, this was 6%, and this one down here was 6.3%. Now, you can average those together and you'll figure out this is a pretty good rate of return. The naysayers say, I've never seen a universal life policy ever credit more than 3 or 4%. Oh, really? I just showed you one that did way better than that. Sometimes the insurance company will issue a statement that looks like this. And this is a client that had some money allocated in the 1-year indexed account and the 5-year high performance. Most of the money was in a 5-year. That means you're waiting 5 years to see the difference or the change in like the S&P 500. And so they were able to get credited on the indexed account, the 1 year, 9.25. But on the 5 year, they were credited 52.87%. There you go. And it shows the actual cash that they earned during that period. And this was again as of August 15th of the year 2020. Okay, here's another one. Same thing, 1 year indexed account. They didn't have anything there, but they had the 5 year. Many people, because this is a long-term strategy, will go point to point for 5 years. They got credited 48.35%, 31,000 bucks. Okay, we're able to see growth from $65,000 up to $96,000 with that type of a credit. Here's another company and how they show their annual statements. This client had a death benefit of $356,000. Okay, it shows the accumulated cash values and what it grew to. This is what I always look at. This is the average return. The general account portfolio was 3.3. They got credited 7.14 because they linked to an index and got 7.22. You average this and it comes out at 7.14. This is very common. How about this one? 7.84%. How about this one? And again, these are all different people. This is a different death benefit. Look at this. Your policy's average interest rate, 7.84%. The statement says what their average is. How can you argue an annual statement? This is what the client is getting, okay? Here's another one. This one's a little bit hazy, 7.97%. They were able to have that index crediting rate because they allocated it primarily to the 1 year, okay? So here's another example where somebody used it's called the Barclays U.S. Dynamic Balance Index, or the BUDBI, B-U-D-B-I. They had an 85% participation rate and 100% here. And so they chose both of these. This is 0.2 and 0.3. This is Roman numerals. They got 7.13 on this one, 8.39 on this one. Folks, all I'm doing is just showing you, we just took snapshots of these client statements. Here's another one. The average was 8.6. Here's another one, 8.51. Now see, when I have advisors out there, naysayers who go, I've never seen one credit more than 2 or 3%. I've already shown you several. How about this? Here is the average return of 9% on this policy that had $131,000. This is a $420,000 death benefit, okay? Here is one that is 9.04 for that period. And so the statements will come out looking like this from this particular insurance company. Here's one at 9.19. I want to get to the really good one here. 9.32, and it shows how they allocated their money in the 5-year high par, the 1 year no cap, the 1 year high cap. See, it'll show you your pie chart of how you chose to allocate your money based upon maybe your consultation with your IUL specialist. That's what the agents do that I point my students to, okay? Now, here's your average return, 9.96. Here's another one, current value, 12.44. It shows the money growing. This is a different company. It's not just one company. There's all kinds of different indexed universal life insurance issuing companies. Here's one, 16.43%, 18.97%. Hello, 18.97. This one over this period with these three ended up with 9.09. You can tell I've saved the best ones for last. This is the one I started out this video talking about. This is a client of my son's who started out in March of the year 2020. What happened in March of 2020? Because of the pandemic, COVID-19, the market crashed big time, okay? 30-something%. When that happens, smart advisors that have clients with Index Universal Life will say, ooh, the market's down, jump on it and do a 1 year. And so he advised that client to do that. And 1 year later, March 15th of 2021, this is just a few weeks ago from the recording of this episode, this client got 61.33% because there's no cap on this. 61%. Hello? All of you who say you've never seen an insurance policy earn more than 4 or 5, 61%. They started out a year before with $872,000. They got credited over $500,000 in 12 months. They now have $1,387,419, tax free. Have you ever seen anything like that? Now, this is pretty phenomenal. I'll show you one other client that had this here. But see, you can have money 115,000, 118,000, 115. You don't have to do even percentages, but you can see here 12.5%. This one only got 2.7, okay? But over here, we look at the interest rate, and we had 13.79 on the money that was allocated in here. We had 6. And then over here, we had 5.25%. Sometimes zero is your hero. If you can't notice, sometimes you do this because you're getting a zero instead of losing money. But here's a client who diversified into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They earned 14.89, 10.25, 15.07, 8%, and 13%. Average that. That's pretty incredible. But when we look at a diversified portfolio, 14.89, 16.5, 10.25, 15.07, and 13. It's on one sheet of paper. How can you argue those rates of return? Sometimes zero is your hero when the market loses, because that was when most people who had their money in the market in March of 2020 lost 30, 40%. This person didn't lose a dime. They didn't earn anything, but they didn't lose. And that's why I say Will Rogers once said people get more concerned about the return of their money instead of the return on their money when things go south. The final example is another person that seized on the 61%. See, they are able to earn whatever that does 1 year with no cap minus a 5% fee. It was actually 66 minus 5, so they netted 61.33. This person didn't have 800,000 that grew to 1,000,003, but they got the same rate of return. 83,000 grew to 135,000 in 1 year, tax-free. By using what? Indexed universal life. So there you have it. If you want to be able to have potential returns of 61%, where 18,000 grows to 29,000, you don't have to have a lot of money. $18,000 isn't that much money. So you don't have to have 800 grand to earn 61%. This person only had 18,000 and a year later they had 29,000. Not bad. This is how rich people get richer. And this is how you can get rich by using max funded index universal life insurance policies. If you want to learn more, let me show you how you can read and understand what indexing really is. So what's the bottom line here, folks? If you've heard naysayers say things like, well, I've never seen a life insurance policy that does that, I just showed you several, okay? I don't want you to miss out. And if this is intriguing you and you'd like to learn more, and you can think of anybody who would benefit from watching this episode and seeing the evidence, be sure and share this video with them. Make a comment, put like, but subscribe to 3Dimensional Wealth, this channel. I post an in-depth answer to a financial question almost on a daily basis. This is not about me. I let my insurance license automatically expire over 15 years ago. This is about you. I'm interested in writing books and doing educational videos to empower you for a brighter future. This is my 11th book. It's called The Laser Fund. And I would love to gift you a free copy. And so you don't need to pay $20 retail on Amazon or whatever. If you go to Laser Fund, Laser fund.com. Laser is an acronym that stands for Liquid Assets, Safely Earning Return. A max funded indexed universal life insurance policy that is structured correctly and funded properly is what I qualify as a laser fund for liquidity, safety, and rate of return. And so you will learn how to do that in this book. It's 200 pages, 14 chapters, has all the charts and graphs and explanations. If you learn more by stories, you can flip the book over and you'll actually have 62 actual client stories that illustrate how the laser fund can be used for retirement, college funding for your kids and grandkids, real estate management, for working capital for business, emergency funds, lump sums, all kinds of different goals, because it's the dream solution that will allow you to accumulate, access, and transfer your money tax-free at pretty incredible rates of return that I've shown you. And you'll see other examples in here. Now, an agent will only illustrate this at maybe 5% or so, because they want to under-promise and then over-deliver. If it will perform well at 5%, what if you were able to earn 10 or 11 or 12 or 61% like I showed you these people did in 1 year? That would be incredible. So claim your free copy. Go to laserfund.com. There's options there to listen and learn, watch and learn. But this is the beginning of your brighter future. So get your book, study, and then subscribe to this channel so you can learn more about these dynamic strategies. I don't want you left behind.